We on? All right. Welcome to the Town of Shelburne Development Review Board meeting for Wednesday, March 20th, 2019. Happy spring to everyone on the board and in the audience and our vast viewing audience. I'd like to open up for a comment. Anyone in the public that would wish to talk about anything that is not on the agenda? All right. Same offer to members of the board. Anything that's not on the agenda? General comments. All right, I wish to thank Lauren for her service. Unfortunately, fortunately for her, wish her well in her endeavors and opportunities, and we will miss her. So, that being said, any recusals from any of today's applications or discussions that we know of? No? Good to go? All right, let's look at approval of the minutes. And we have several. So we'll start off with approval of the February 6th minutes. I see we had a change that was facilitated. Now, procedures on this, we need...
Set up as a motion, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You kind of have it set up a little differently as a motion for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever you're really comfortable with. I was just trying to...
Okay.
We were just trying to facilitate actions for those
Okay.
things.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, John and Mark, specific modifications based upon your comments.
Yeah, mine, the change with respect to mine is fine, and I defer to Mark with respect to his Q&As, although they seem to be pretty much what I remember said at that meeting.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Any other modifications for the February 6th minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as revised.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, February 20th minutes. Any modifications, discussion?
It looks fine to me, but there are two matters that I was recused from, and obviously I expressed no view on the minutes with respect to those matters.
Okay.
It's not here.
Okay,
I'm fine with this.
okay. All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as drafted. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. You don't want to go. March 6th minutes. Comments, modifications?
Same comment. I don't comment on things with respect to which I'm recused, but it looks fine.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm fine with it.
All right.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. 53. Okay. Moving on to application BLA 19-01. This is continued from earlier in the year, I believe. Application by Lloyd Irish for a boundary line adjustment between two adjacent properties. The properties are located at 7041 Spear Street and 7043 Spear Street, are located in the Rural District and the Stormwater Overlay District. Okay, Ravi, kick us off.
So this application was continued from February 6th, 2019, upon request from the applicant. It's a boundary line adjustment between two properties, adjacent properties at 7041 Spear Street, 743 Spear Street. The property at 7041 Spear Street, as indicated, I guess, in the smaller property up there is 5.015 acres currently, and the property at 7043 Spear Street is 14.706 acres. With this boundary line adjustment proposal, the property at 7041 Spear Street would change to 5 acres, and the property at 7043 Spear Street would increase to 14.723 acres. And regarding nonconformities, this change would not create or increase any nonconformities that are on the property at 7041 Spear Street. In regards to subdivision evaluation, per Section 320A of subdivision regulations, this proposal appears to be in conformance based on staff's evaluation. At this point, staff will defer to the applicant.
Very good. Does anyone wish to speak on behalf of this? I'll have to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, under pains and penalties of perjury? Okay, very good.
Paul Irish, AKA Lloyd. Named after my grandfather, but my husband didn't want two Lloyds in the family, so.
Okay,
25 years ago, that was one property, and we couldn't get a mortgage to do any improvements on our house, so we subdivided. We tried to make 5 acres, but we made it plus or minus a little bit of difference. So we wanted to make a slight adjustment between the property that I have and my sister and I have, the two properties.
okay, very good. Any questions from the board? Okay. Questions, comments from the public? All right, someone wish to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to finalize the record and to approve, directing the staff to indicate approval of boundary line adjustment, BLA 1901, is prepared by applicant Lloyd Irish for the properties located at 7041 and 7043 Spear Street with the following conditions. A miler shall be recorded within 180 days of this approval pursuant to Town Subdivision Regulations 1030.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. All right, very good. There you go, Paul. Okay, moving on. Application SUB 19-01. Application by Joshua and David Crad, sorry if I mispronounced, of sketch plan review for proposed two-lot subdivision. Property is at 92 Irish Hill Road and is located in Shelburne Falls Mixed Use District. All right, Ravi.
This is a sketch plan review application for a two-lot subdivision proposal. Property lies in the Shelburne Falls Mixed Use District. Currently, the property is 0.98 acres, hosts a two-family dwelling use. The applicant is proposing the creation of a 0.47 acre lot as indicated as Lot A that fronts Irish Hill Road, and a back lot that would be 0.51 acres, known as Lot B on the plans. The applicant proposes a two-family dwelling use on proposed Lot A, and the existing two-family dwelling use on proposed Lot B would remain the same. With the subdivision classification, this is a two-lot subdivision, and this is a new subdivision, so staff recommends that to classify this as a minor subdivision. And regarding access to any proposed development on Lot A, staff finds that the access via a 20-foot right-of-way to be in conformance with Town Zoning Bylaw Section 1980.1 and Town Subdivision Regulations Section 920, subpoint 5. However, staff recommends that the access to the proposed two-family dwelling on proposed Lot A should be via the existing driveway for safety reasons. The existing driveway, as you can see up there, is on the westernmost side of Lot A, along that boundary line, and we suggest access should be via that instead of a new curb cut along Irish Hill Road. And also, with any final plan application or any application after this, staff would like to see a stormwater management plan for this proposal. At this point, staff will defer to the applicant.
Okay, real quick. Technical difficulties. There's no audio stream coming across. Thank you. Okay. Would someone like to come and speak to this?
That would be me.
Okay, come on up. I'll have to swear you in.
What would you like to know?
I like you to say, I
We
will.
basically would like.
Hang on. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
All right, could you state your name for the record, please?
Jesusa Craig.
Thank you. Okay, please tell us.
Yes, this property we've owned for 20 years now to put my mother-in-law to live there. She passed away 1.5 years ago, and now it's time for us to do something with it.
Okay,
So we would like to subdivide it,
okay.
and
Okay.
Yeah.
Staff has recommended that the driveway on the western side of the property remain intact with no new curb cut onto the road. Is that something agreeable with you?
No problem.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, any questions from the public? Yes. Please come up to the microphone. If you could state your name, I'll swear you in.
Okay, I'm Peggy Kutu.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just, without that curb cut, it seems like there'll be a lot of cars going in and out of that one driveway
Without a new curb cut?
without a new curb cut.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board?
A question for Ravi. Just to be clear, I'm assuming the staff's recommendation for using a single driveway is because of line of sight issues with the curb cut.
That is correct. Staff had conversations with Highway Superintendent Paul Goodrich about this, and he suggested that no new curb cut be put there due to site distances. Of course, this is hearsay, so further comments directly from Paul Goodrich would be provided at a later stage for your review.
Okay.
Sketch plan.
This is sketch, yeah, okay. All right. Any motions from the board? First got Mark.
I will make a motion to first classify application SUB 1901 as a minor subdivision. I would also make a motion to finalize the record and close this hearing, and for this application, and I authorize staff to prepare a decision and authorizing applications. I have to repeat that first name again. Jesus, thank you. Got it. David, Peter, and Craig to prepare a final plan application for SUB 1901. With the following recommendation, they obtained comments from town departments and include those comments in their preliminary plan application as stipulated in town subdivision regulations. Secondly, pursuant to subdivision regulation section 1920, they access the proposed primary structure on Lot A through the existing driveway. Thirdly, pursuant to town subdivision regulation 970, the application should provide a stormwater management plan with their final application.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Thank you. Moving right along, application SUB 19-02, application by Civil Engineering Associates on behalf of APC Properties LLC for sketch plan review of a proposed two-lot re-subdivision. Property is located at 2800 Shelburne Road, is located in the mixed-use district and the stormwater overlay district. Okay, Ravi.
Firstly, I have full-size plans of this. If you'd like a full-size plan or would like to review the full-size plan for greater detail, feel free to. Secondly, about this project, this property is 3.76 acres currently with a retail use without drive-through facilities. The applicant proposes the creation of a 2.8 acre lot, which would host the existing retail use, and a 0.96 acre lot for a single-family residence. Regarding classification, staff understands this to be a re-subdivision of two previous subdivisions. First for a two-lot subdivision back in January 1985, and then a 10-lot planned residential development in October 1985. Therefore, based on our calculations, this would bring the total amount of lots created to 12, and therefore must be classified as a major subdivision. Regarding any certain zoning considerations, that with the right-of-way being Wildrose Circle, any future plans must indicate the setback from Wildrose Circle instead of anything beyond it. That's something that we noticed in the final plans, in these plans.
Could you repeat that again?
So if you look up there, or if you can see in detail or in your packet, the dotted line setback for the 2.8 acre proposed lot is actually on Wild Rose Circle. Based on the definition of a setback, it's from the primary right-of-way serving the property, and the primary right-of-way serving the property is Wild Rose Circle. So therefore, the setback should actually be from the edge of Wild Rose Circle to the edge of the parking in this case. That would be the correct measurement of the setback, and any future plans should indicate that instead of as shown above. But this is a minor change. Access is through Wild Rose Circle to the 0.96 acre proposed lot we see that as valid under per section 1980.1 of the regulations, and also 920.5 of the town subdivision regulations. Okay, and one thing that has been newly provided to us and also the applicant is our comments from the SNRCC, which was provided to you just earlier. And you can take that and use that in your consideration. At this point, staff will defer to the applicant.
Okay. Thank you, Ravi. Is anyone here to speak to this application?
For the record, Dave Marshall from Civil Engineering Associates. The applicant, Andy Collette, is also here.
All right. Are all of you going to testify? Mass swearing? All right. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. All right.
Well, Ravi pretty well summarized the situation. What's up on the screen here is the 3.7 acre parcel that actually crosses over Wild Rose Circle into an approximately 1 acre area. This portion of the parcel is what is being proposed to be subdivided off from the main commercial property. So ultimately, this will be a residential use that is adjacent to residential uses on the west side. And the commercial use will continue in its existing form. We'll work with Ravi in regards to the setback adjustments that's requested in staff report. Otherwise, we feel the staff report is complete in regards to its summary of the application. And I think the only unfortunate part is that the way the rules are written in Shelburne is that this would be considered to be a major subdivision, even though it's simply a simple 2-lot subdivision. Just a point of interest, I know that occasionally you put together lists for the Planning Commission to think about as far as administrative or other things in the rules that will make your lives a little bit easier. The town of Charlotte actually designates their determination of the number of lots determined over the past 10 years. The idea being that anything over 10 years has basically been absorbed into the community, and that if you're really looking at impacts as part of a incremental subdivision of property, then over the past 10 years is one way to look at it. So that being the background, I won't take any more of your time on that particular issue. But at this point, we look forward to basically to the next steps with the application process for you.
All right. Thank you. Anything you wish to add? Okay. Questions from the board?
I'll make a motion unless somebody else wants to.
Well, we have to ask the public.
Oh, no, sorry.
Any questions or comments from the public? Okay.
I'll make a motion to to finalize the record and close the hearing with respect to application sub 19-2, and also move to direct the staff to prepare a decision authorizing the applicant, Civil Engineering Associates, on behalf of APC Properties LLC, to prepare a preliminary plan application for sub 1902 with the following recommendations. The applicant must obtain comments from appropriate town departments and include those comments in their preliminary plan application as stipulated under town regulations. Ravi, do I need to make an explicit condition about redrawing that line, or will that be picked up in the ordinary course?
That can be recommended pursuant to section 2110.146.
So I'm just going to suggest that the setback be redrawn consistent with the provisions of the section that Robbie just cited.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are just a model of efficiency tonight.
Thank you for your time on that.
All right. Moving on, application SUB 19-03, application by Civil Engineering Associates on behalf of Lauren and Mark Quarterman for sketch plan review of proposed two-lot subdivision. Property is at 1 Nashville Road, is located in the residential district, stormwater overlay district, and floodwater and watercourse overlay district. All right, Ravi.
So this is a two-lot subdivision proposal. The lot currently is 12.37 acres and hosts an existing mobile home park use. The applicant proposes the creation of a 7.29 acre lot, known as proposed Lot 1, and a 5.09 acre lot referred to as proposed Lot 2. 7.29 acre lot, Lot 1 would be hosting the existing mobile home park use, and the 5.09 acre lot would be hosting a two-family dwelling use. One thing to note, based on our evaluation, is that with a change in the property dimensions of the existing mobile home park, that the applicant should file a conditional use application to amend this conditional use permit with their final plan application, and with conditional use application for an existing mobile home park, a site plan application must also be submitted. Access to the two-family dwelling is via a 20-foot wide right-of-way consistent with Town Zoning Bylaw Section 1980.1 and Town Subdivision Regulations Section 920 sub-point 5. With the building envelope that's depicted, and we're using the dotted lines, staff would like to see precise dimensions for that to show compliance with the setback requirements as stipulated in Section 430. With the stormwater impaired watercourse overlay district under Section 530, staff would like to see a project review sheet to indicate compliance with state regulations regarding stormwater management. With classification and subdivision regulations, this is a new subdivision based on our books in this property, so staff considers this to be a minor subdivision. And finally, second to last, under site preservation, landscaping, grading, excavation, staff has noticed 2 stream crossings to gain access to this lot and provide sewer service for this lot. Of course, further comments will be provided from the SNRCC and the Town Wastewater Department at a later stage regarding these stream crossings. However, staff would suggest that the applicant make revisions accordingly to minimize stream crossings as well as any other potential adverse impacts to the natural environment. Let's see. And finally, there is, since with the stream crossing, there is going to be an extension of a culvert, and staff would recommend that the applicant provide Highway Superintendent Paul Goodrich the details about this culvert for his review. At this point, staff will defer to the applicant.
Thank you, Ravi. All right, who's here to speak on behalf of this application?
Dave Marshall from Civil Engineering Associates.
All
And
right.
Mark and Laurie Coderman.
Come on, please. All right. Again, your names to the record, we a little bit over time. All right, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, please.
So at this point, the overall holdings of the trailer park basically follow the highlighted portion here. And this is the majority of the units associated with the trailer park. And what happens is Monroe Brook basically runs through this particular portion of the lot, the existing parcel, and this is the lands that are proposed for the residential use being subdivided off from the trailer park itself. And the idea was to basically, because of the steep slopes that occupy this area, as well as the floodplain component down by Monroe Brook, we just figured that it would be best just have all of this holding in one particular parcel. And not to create very funny lines that's inconsistent with the subdivision rules. So that basically leaves the 5+ acre park, the remaining parcel associated with the trailer park. And as Revy indicated, access would be from Nashville Lanes, that's right here, and basically a single driveway that extends across an existing drainage way. Currently, there's 24-inch culvert that basically goes under Kalady Drive, and that would be extended to basically facilitate the parallel driveway, we'll call it, as well as any utilities that are necessary to be extended from the infrastructure associated with the trailer park into the proposed building envelope area itself.
Okay. Anything to add? All right, questions from the board?
So there's gonna be a pump station there, Dave, to take care of?
Well, at this point, we're determining whether gravity surface is actually available to the existing pump station within the trailer park. But it goes back to some of the issues that Revy pointed out in regards to how to basically consolidate the crossings of that particular stream. We want to simplify that, just as staff has indicated, and we may end up either with a pump station on the proposed lot or with a gravity service running out through. So that's still to be finalized as far as the detailing there, but there are options either way to basically carry the day.
Okay.
And water would be provided along the
Current,
right-of-way?
basically, there's currently municipal water that extends into the park, and that would also be brought in to the site in a similar corridor along the proposed driveway.
Okay. And have to deal with the creek in the appropriate manner, I suppose. Okay. Any other questions from the board before I open it up to the public?
No.
Okay, is anyone here from the public to speak to this application? All right, how about if we do a mass swearing, so if people could stand, so I get to recognize. All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, under pains and penalties of perjury? Yes. Excellent, thank you. So if you could approach the microphone, introduce yourselves, and then go right ahead.
My name's David Abbott. I live on Kalady Drive.
Could you show us where?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay.
First, I'm actually going to read a statement from Lawrence Smith, who owns the last empty lot, which is actually around here. Yep, it's here. Yeah. He is out of town right now, so I have a statement from him I'd like to read. Good evening, DRB members. I'd like to start by thanking all of you for your service. Having sat on this board in the past, I have an appreciation for the time commitment and effort you voluntarily contribute to the town of Shelburne. I lived at 178 Kalady Drive for many years. I'm not going to walk up there again, but it's the second to furthest from the left.
Okay.
Own the remaining undeveloped lot in the Monroe Brook Woods subdivision and manage the development of the subdivision when it was created in the 90s. At that time, the town moved slowly through the approval process and encouraged us as developers to work cooperatively with our neighbors in an effort to address their concerns, and in doing so, the overall project was improved. I hope that after listening to the concerns raised here tonight, you will take the same approach. I know that this project can also be designed in a way that meets the need of the developers and their abutters. It is my hope that you will continue the sketch plan application to allow this process to take place, and that additionally, you will schedule a site visit so that you can understand firsthand the concerns that need to be addressed to ensure that this project is a positive step forward for the community as a whole. I will not get into specifics, but I believe that many will be uncovered by others this evening. Upon my return, I will be able to fully review the project and its impacts. I'll be out of town until the end of April, and it would be my preference to have this application continued until the May meeting so that I have an opportunity to participate in this process, which directly impacts me. Again, thank you for your time and effort.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a statement of my own.
Okay.
Good evening, my name is David Abbott. This is my wife, Piper Abbott. We live at 133 Clady Drive. Our home is directly across the street from the lot in question. Lori and Mark Coderman, the current residents of 174 Clady Drive, have been renting out 2 separate units in their home through Airbnb and other online services for over 6 years. The constant presence of strangers in our neighborhood and the additional traffic created by them has eroded our sense of community and put a strain on our road and well maintenance. In November 2018, the Monroe Brook Woods Homeowners Association voted to disallow short-term rentals in our neighborhood. Immediately after this vote, the Codermans attempted to secede from our homeowners association so that they would not be subject to our bylaws. This request was denied by the town of Shelburne. Within a month of this vote, the Codermans began plans for this subdivision. I believe their primary intent in doing so is to build a house on the new subdivision that will not be a part of our HOA despite being in our neighborhood, and will continue to run their rental units out of that house. By doing so, our neighborhood would continue to suffer from the same negative impacts we currently endure: noise, traffic, and safety issues. But without the jurisdiction of our HOA, we would have no input on how they use and keep their property. The plans also refer to the new structure as a duplex. I would assume that this is because they want to maximize their rental potential. I would like to point out that all of the homes in our neighborhood are single-family dwellings. Building a duplex in our neighborhood would be out of character for that which we have cultivated. Due to the tree clearing and landscaping that has been done on 174 Clady and the abutting lot, there is no discernible difference between them. So I just want to point this out real quick. This section right here has been incorporated visually into their yard. They've got a split rail fence that runs the whole width here. And there's landscaping, there's a cupola right here. It's all tied together visually. You would have no idea that it's not their property. A single split rail fence runs along both lots, and various other landscape features visually tie them together. All the other lots in our neighborhood have at least 20 feet of heavily wooded space between them. Building a duplex or any other house on that lot would essentially look like 2 houses on a single lot, and would therefore stand in stark contrast from the aesthetic of the rest of the neighborhood. Lastly, in order to gain access to this lot, the plan includes the construction of a new gravel driveway from Brentwood Road in the Rooney Trailer Park to the subdivision lot. This driveway has been positioned approximately 40 feet from Clady Drive, directly opposite the earth berm we built to create a buffer between us and the trailer park. Its construction would require the removal of most, if not all, of the trees that currently exist between our neighborhood and the Rooney Trailer Park, and would destroy the buffer we have spent large amounts of time and money to create. The positioning of this driveway and their...
Could you show on the map where the buffer is?
Of course.
Thank you.
So we've built an earth berm here. It runs here. It's, I don't know, 10 feet high or so. So when you're standing, you can't see into here. But more importantly, this entire area is full of large trees, and creates, they come up all through here. They run all the way actually to Brentwood. So this whole area is trees, and it's a massive visual barrier. Again, this is my house.
Could you talk about the berm? How was that constructed, or when was it constructed? What was the reason for its construction?
I did not live here at the time the berm was constructed. Maybe someone else can speak to that later.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, structure view. The positioning of this driveway and the removal of the trees would create an unobstructed view from my home directly into the trailer park. This would have a huge impact on my property value. My home would go from being a nice, secluded and wooded area to being exposed to one of the least favorable areas in Shelburne. Had I known that this was ever going to even be considered, I would have not purchased the property and built my home on it. It scares me to think of the massive impact this would have on the value of my home and the financial loss I would take in selling it. We encourage you all to visit our neighborhood and see firsthand the enormous impact the subdivision would have on all of us.
Okay. And
Chair.
is that the record,
Yes.
letter we have in the record?
Yes, so
Okay.
both I believe your written statement and also the statement from Lauren Smith are included, they were sent to you via email,
Yeah,
included in
right.
that packet
Okay.
earlier today.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Please, anyone who wishes to testify, please. Could you introduce yourself for the record?
Yep. So I'm Matt Chandler, and I live at 157 Kalady Drive, and maybe, Robbie, you want to point where that is for me? I live right across the street from Mark and Lori, and
Hang on.
next to the Abbotts. I live right there.
Right there, okay.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
And my wife and I, Diane, have lived there pretty much since it first was developed. We were the second house that was built at the time.
Okay.
So I've been on the homeowner board for a long time as treasurer, acting treasurer now. The berm was built, I would say, I don't have the exact date with me. It was $7,000 berm, and at the time, we were having a hard time with the trailer park activities, interacting with Kalady Drive. So the trailer park, over time, has had different issues, trash, vandalism, delinquent behaviors, things like that. We had thought about building a temporary fence at the time, but we didn't have enough trust in the people that were living there at the time that the fence would exist as a fence. So we needed something a little bit more permanent. We had done some plantings of cedars along that way. I'll show you where the cedars are. So we had planted cedars all along this little edge here between the trailer park and Kalady Drive, thinking that that would create a nice barrier. However, over time, some of the kids that lived in the area decided that that would be fun to break up, and they got damaged over time. So we didn't want to put more money into trees, so we ended up doing that berm. And as David pointed out, it's quite large. It was $7,000 of cost, along with associated trees that we added to it as well. The berm did a really nice job creating a barrier between Kalady Drive and the trailer park. Mark and Lori have done a nice job trying to get the trailer park to be a little bit more civil, but it's a constant battle, I think. We all have been working on that for the last 20 years. So the additional subdivision does create a visual corridor now, both from David's house, from my house, even from Mark and Lori's current house, where we're going to be able to see sort of right down into the trailer park. And that concerns us for a number of reasons. One is the visual part, and also the interaction between the two exposes Kalady Drive, which is sort of this park-like little in the woods development, to a much more transient rental-based community. Currently, I think of all of the trailer parks, I think almost all, and Lori and Mark, you can correct me, I think all but maybe a couple are rental units. And some of those people, rotate in and out over time. So there isn't quite the same sense of the residential neighborhood that we've got. My concern, or one of my concerns that I addressed in the letter, was the use of Brentwood Drive. Brentwood Drive, if you see it and you drive down it, it is a pretty narrow roadway. I don't know if it conforms to the town regulation as far as the size and the scope of the roadway, but it is pretty narrow. And I know that Mark and Lori are entrepreneurial and they have a lot of plans, and they're going to continue some of their businesses in some form, whatever. But that's going to add to that traffic along that roadway. And there are little kids and there's cars and there is a lot of action in that roadway. So I do worry that that roadway is going to have an increase in traffic and may pose some challenges to those people that are living there. I would also like to kind of advocate for the tenants of the trailer park as they have a roadway that goes real close to them. I don't know how that works within the trailer park, but the trailer park resident that lives at the end, I think Todd is his name, he's going to have a road that's pretty close by to his unit, and I don't know if that's the best setting for him or how he feels on that, or if he has a right to have any feelings about that, because I think it's a rental property. So those are some of the issues that I wanted to bring up. I also wrote a letter to the board, which I guess is in your packet. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this application? Please. Could you introduce yourself?
I'm Kathy Cook.
Kathy,
Cook.
Hook?
It's K-U-C-K, Cook.
thank you. Okay,
Well, I live in the trailer park.
okay.
I live on Nashville Road.
Could you show us which unit?
I live on
Ravi, could
The
you,
right side.
you have your red pen, your,
the right side, the very last one.
hang on, we're gonna get positive location here.
I'll do my best.
78, it's not Brentwood, it's Nashville. Yeah, it's Nashville. There you go. At the very end. No, yeah, that one right there.
Got it. Thank you.
I've been there for 14 years.
Okay,
I know the troubles with the trailer park. I work. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I keep my place very clean. I have gardens in the summer. I think Mark and Lori's place is the prettiest place on Kalady Drive. They have beautiful gardens. They do landscaping very well. It's the best place there. I walk over there with my dog, and I've been accosted over there, asked what I'm doing there before by residents there. I wondered why someone thinks they have the right to ask me what I'm doing walking on a road. There are trees there. I don't think they would cut down all the trees because I can't, from where I live, I can't see the road. That's all. I wanted to speak for the Quartermans because I think they would do a good job. And not everyone in the trailer park is bad.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
I would like to speak, if I may.
Absolutely.
So, Lori Coderman. It is true that we had an Airbnb business. And one of my concerns about living in Kalady Drive, we've been there 20 years. It's been a wonderful place. We've enjoyed living there very much. We have large gardens. My son left. I have one son, and the house felt too big. So we started the business, and had we had any idea that our neighbors were so frustrated with it, we would have quickly and decisively made a change.
I'm sorry, frustrated with what?
The activity. My great frustration, and even living there now, is that people don't communicate. There's been an assumption made tonight that Mark and I, in our efforts to actually sell our house, it's on the market now, because we are not generating an income from it, and it just doesn't make sense to have this big house, big yard. So we simply want to downsize, do a duplex. Nobody asked us if our intention was to continue Airbnb. If there was an assumption or felt like an accusation, that was not our intention. We are not out to irritate neighbors. We're out to downsize, and we're looking to make a smaller home on a property that my father owns and is willing to allow us to build on, if that's possible. We are gardeners, we're landscapers. We're very concerned with that buffer zone as well. We're going to be living there. And there are good people who live in that park. There have been problems, and we've worked diligently and very slowly to work on that because I don't have management power, but I do what I can. And I think that's it. That, it's hard when people assume your intentions without talking to you, but I'm telling you here that we simply want to downsize and, create a home for ourselves and recreate some of the beauty that we've created over the last 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, quick question. You would be renting one of the duplexes out?
Yeah, we have, family. My mother's a widow, Mark's mother's a widow, they own homes. There's,
Okay,
we
no,
probably
but-
rent it
okay.
to someone, but possibly family down the
Okay.
road.
Thank you. Others? Please.
My name is David Leo Nyquist. My wife and I, Kathy, have lived for 8 years in one of the two houses at the end of Kalady Drive. We bought Lori Smith's house.
And being the far left?
You can't even see it on there, right?
This ours?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's for you to take.
Thank you.
I think my wife and my perspective is similar to Laurie Smith's, meaning we'd like to, we haven't had a conversation about this within the neighborhood, within the homeowners association. In the past, we've been able to communicate with each other and to work things out. Two of the 6 households are out of state, out of the country right now. They'll be back soon. So I think my wife and I would like to see a conversation about all of this within our neighborhood. This would represent, I mean, again, we've only been there 8 years. This would represent a significant, the largest change in sort of the logistics of our neighborhood since we've been there, and we would like to have a neighborly conversation with all of the neighbors sitting at the table and talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
Hi, I'm Diane Chandler. I live at 157 across the street from the Clutterman's current home, diagonally from where the new lot's going in. I'd like to reiterate the concerns about the natural area that's going to be removed in the project. There's a tributary to the Monroe Brook that runs down through there. And I think that it would be significant, the impact on that tributary would be significant. So I would really implore that you come and take a look at it before you make a decision. The other question I have about the project is the orientation of the proposed home on that site. Will it be facing Kalady Drive and look like it belongs to Kalady Drive, or will it be facing the other way? And then if it's facing the other way, how will that be screened or partitioned off, or how is this all going to play out in the space?
Thank you. Others? Okay. Questions, comments from the board? I'll open it up. I think my thoughts are, I would like to see the place, because clearly there's a lot of contention going on, and I would want to have firsthand view of, kind of what it looks like. I do have a question for the applicant. With regards to the berm that's there, would that berm stay intact with the proposed right-of-way? Would that be impacted at all?
Yes, again, Dave Marshall, that is the intent.
So the berm,
That wouldn't be impacted.
not to hurt it, the berm would not be impacted?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay,
I would like to see it too.
okay. What do you guys?
Yeah, concur.
Okay. Great. All right, so, my thoughts are we're gonna, go ahead.
Before you move on to the next step, I guess a comment for Ravi that I don't expect you to respond to tonight, but it would be helpful in the next hearing that we have on this to understand, for the board to understand whether using a home as an Airbnb is matters strictly among neighbors in the HOA, or whether that implicates any town regulations. I don't know the answer, so any background you could provide on that would be appreciated.
So I can answer that question to an extent. So generally speaking, with land use law, HOA laws, if they're stricter than ours, supersede ours. So if they don't allow Airbnbs, but we do, hypothetically, that the not allowing is what stands. And regards to Airbnbs in Shelburne, there are no ordinances regarding short-term rentals, or no definition of short-term rentals per se. We have fielded complaints. Our office has fielded complaints about Airbnbs. However, no actions have been taken yet, and no draft or any ordinance of sorts regarding short-term rentals currently exists.
So let me say that back to you. Is my understanding correct then that in the absence of a regulation, or even in the presence of a regulation that's more liberal, an HOA's rules govern if they're strict?
Yes.
does that implicate the town, or is that between the HOA and the residents?
That's between the HOA and the residents.
Very helpful, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. One of the things I would like to understand is when this neighborhood was originally laid out, what was the thoughts with regards to lots going along Kalady Drive? We don't have to answer that right now, but eventually, if there's additional information, I'd like to have that added to the record. Can I do that?
Yes,
Okay.
that would also possibly be a question for the interested parties that are not here. So that would be Lawrence Smith, Will Rapp, who were the original developers of the Monroe Brook subdivision, who are
Okay.
not in presence right now, but have submitted letters asking for continuances
Sure.
and would like to submit verbal testimony.
Sure, okay. All right,
So, is the, and I'm looking at you, Robbie, simply because you saw the communications, probably have a better sense for the gist of them. Is the sense that the amount of time necessary for the witnesses you think would be helpful in better understanding this to be able to participate? Would that be a continuation till late April, till May, till when?
That determination is up to you, based on the evidence that you need to, for understanding this application, whether their testimony would be vital to your understanding or not.
yeah, my thoughts are they've requested to do that. It's kind of balancing an undue time burden.
I guess the tipping thing for me, though, is one of the requesters is, as I understand it, Robbie, was the original developer?
Both. So there are two, yes.
So I think that would be useful information to get in the record. So while I agree with you, Jeff, that usually, you just get bogged down forever if you keep
Yeah.
granting continuances because somebody else wants to speak. But I think having some input from the original developers might be helpful.
I agree.
And it sounds like there's a consensus that we'd like to see the places.
Yeah, plus we have April vacations coming up too. All right, so first things first. Do we want to do a site visit without the original developers there? I mean, I'm okay doing a site visit without them.
Yeah, that's fine.
You guys, okay. So we need to pick a date for that. I think we should pick a warm, sunny day in April.
Oh, yeah. Let's see, warm, sunny days. Oh, here they are.
There we go. All right, I'm gonna be gone through the 9th. So that's like, oops. And now that we have clocks working in our favor, does anyone have a preference on a weekday or a weekend?
How about Wednesday, the 10th?
I'm looking at my work schedule there, and I am going to be fully jammed that
Sorry.
day.
Yeah, why don't you make a suggestion
Yeah,
that
let me,
fits with your work schedule?
Let's, let me throw out the 11th. How's that sound for you guys?
It works for me. The 10th isn't a great day for me either.
Doug,
I'm gonna be gone.
when you coming back?
Coming back Monday.
You're gonna be back on the 15th?
Yep.
Okay.
Tax day? No, we're not doing a tax
Yeah.
day.
Why? It's a holiday.
What are you talking about?
So we wanna catch Doug. How about 16th? April
Sure.
16th?
It's fine.
Mark?
Tuesday the 16th?
Yeah, Tuesday.
What time of day are we looking at?
We're looking at, like a 7 o'clock thing.
Yep.
AM or PM?
Hmm?
AM or PM?
Either works for me. Except you retired guys.
I was
let's
being
go,
so good.
let's go PM.
Okay.
April 16th, 7 PM.
Okay.
16th at 7?
That gives us like one more month of sunlight. We should probably be okay by then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's gonna be our site tour. Let me throw out a continuance.
Okay. Which Wednesday are we meeting in May?
May be
fifth-
the first,
1st to the 15th.
yes.
Okay.
Why don't we try the first?
Try the first?
You think your neighbor will be back on the 1st? Is that
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask
Yes.
perhaps a favor of trying to move this forward. We understand that people are out of town. Mr. Smith can provide testimony on the issues that the board is interested in by written communications. He doesn't need to be here to do that. The other thing is our firm designed this particular subdivision, so we can also offer background information in regards to how many of the orientations and layout of this particular project arose over time. There was a boundary adjustment between the trailer park and the proposed subdivision here. So we're trying to balance things also in regards to the information that the board's looking for, but at the same time also being respectful of the applicant who is here. And that being the background, we ask the board just to think about that also,
All right.
please.
Thank you. Let's go with the first, May 1st. It continues to May 1st. That gives opportunity, if all the neighbors aren't here, at least we can get our phone going.
Yep, we need to be able to cross-examine them.
Yeah.
It'd be better, I mean,
Agree.
And if they can't be here by then
Well, first thing is if they can't be here, they could dial.
Right.
Set up a dial-in number. I think that's important. Because they did request, and I think that's a reasonable request. All right, so continuance to May 1st.
so moved.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on. Application SUB 19-04, application by 3 Jewels LLC for a pre-application conference of a proposed residential plan unit development. Property is at 33 Thomas Road, is located in the Rural District, the Floodplain and Watercourse Overlay District. Okay, Ravi.
So this is a pre-application meeting pursuant to section 1930.3 subpoint B. This is a PUD proposal for, my understanding is 3 single-family dwelling sites. So the property is located at 33 Thomas Road, lies within the rural district, and the property is 25.5 acres. It's currently undeveloped. With these types of pre-application conferences, it's supposed to be a casual conversation between the DRB and the applicant to better guide the applicant. DRB does not make any motions, but general recommendations. At this point, staff will defer to the applicant.
I need to make a point. I didn't read this very carefully. There's no conflict, but I did make an offer on this property and it was not accepted, but I don't see any issue with me being neutral on the prospect.
Okay. Concerns from the board? No. Good. Thank you. Okay, anything else to add, Ravi?
No?
All right, do you wish to come? Now, since this is like a guidance thing, is this not really an applicant being submitted? I don't have to swear him in, do I?
You do, yes.
Oh, okay, swear in. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Could you state your name for the record?
Judd Graff.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Graff. Take us through what you're proposing.
Let me just, one minor correction. The property up until we closed on it in November was 25.5 acres. The Haig family at closing filed a survey that's been recorded that essentially brings the center line of the property into the La Platte before it had been recorded a little bit north of that. So it's 28.5 acres, but none of that land down there is developable anyway. For the record, my wife and I live there.
I'm sorry, where's that? Was it?
And
I'm sorry, could you show me again?
oh, sorry,
I was looking down.
right here.
Okay, thank you.
So, I'm also the treasurer of the Vermont Zen Center. We're butter back through here, et cetera. So it's very tangled, of course. when the Haig family put the property on the market, I think we found that interesting. And the more we started to think about it, we envisioned a large house here, a large house here, and a large house there, and thought that would change the nature of the neighborhood. So three of us banded together and fortunately were able to purchase the property. And we're thinking of a clustered development, say of 3 houses down in this area, leaving all the rest of that land open. We've initiated some conversations with the Lake Champlain Land Trust and the Shelburne Natural Resources Committee to see if there would be some interest or ability there in helping out. So that's sort of the background, how we got here. One of the 3 of us is intending to build there. 2 others of us are sort of placeholders, hopefully for some friends who might want to build there, but if not, we would sell off our lots. So we're coming forward, given the clustering, as a planned unit development, and my understanding from Ravi is that's now the rule anyway with a lot this size. So we're here to see what your thoughts are.
Any comments from your neighbors?
No, we haven't started. Well, yeah, this neighbor certainly doesn't care. This neighbor is a good friend, knows about it and doesn't care. The Zen Center doesn't care. Our intention is shortly to go talk to the Winstons, who are neighbors there. And
they'd be the ones I would think would have the most interest.
Yeah, well, what they had expressed to us to me during the time the lot was, the property was on the market, they were most concerned about a house over here. Mm-hmm. This is sort of their orientation. They walk there a lot, and they seemed a little less concerned. I think their preference was nothing would happen to it. And in fact, they had approached me about possibly buying it and just sort of tying it up, but that didn't come to pass.
Okay. Clearly, clustering is what the town prefers.
Right.
There'll be questions. Okay, so now I'm just thinking of others.
As a reference
Yes.
to the entire board as well, we have provided general design standards in the memo on the first page, so that's something that could be used as a guideline for this pre-application conference and providing suggestions for them going forward.
And you mentioned you were going to try to conserve the land, the remaining land?
Yeah.
Okay. Has those discussions started all with those types of entities?
Yeah, we've talked with the Land Trust. As part of my role at the Zen Center, we worked with them in conserving about 50-some acres to the south of the Zen Center parcel there. Okay. So, went to them first, got together with Gail Albert and her board and just had preliminary discussions. Unclear where it can go. The Land Trust, normally their board would require public access. Chris Boguet didn't think that was really appropriate here. He would prefer to keep the access on the existing Zen Center parcel where there are already trails. So I think we're sort of trying to sort out jurisdiction and interest here. But yes, our intent is to keep as much of the land open as possible. Currently, it's being hayed by a neighbor down the road. I would expect at the minimum for that to continue.
That was going to be my only question. How the current use of the current use of the land, or current maintenance of the land?
Yeah, haying in that area, sort of on the west side there above the slopes. The Thomas family over the last 10, 15 years has periodically planted a fairly large garden there with plus or minus success depending on the weather. So that has happened. Primarily it's been hayed fairly continuously since my wife have been there. We built in, I think, 94. So
What is, I'm trying to interpret the print. To the northwest of the property, there's
The
that
big
dashed
one.
line coming
Could you-
down.
yeah.
Is that representing a right-of-way?
Here's a bigger
Okay.
thing that might help. So which are you?
This right here, what is this
Oh,
representing a right-of-way?
this, I assume the Thomas, the history of this is one of the Thomas brothers, Sean, built the original house here. Then he sold and it was expanded. This land was originally subdivided internally to the family. They each had their lot lines, but it was never filed with the town. So I think the town's position was that it was an illegal subdivision.
This, in effect, is a lot line here, and this would have been the easement that provided access to.
Probably, yes.
Right through.
Yeah, I know. It's sort of a curious location through part of that lot. But yes, that's what we assume the intent was.
And there are, if I'm not mistaken, there are walking trails all along the river.
Not really trails. The formal trail goes down through here, up, over, and up onto the high area. The neighbors, I think, have mowed down to the river, but I'm not aware of a trail there.
Okay.
The land trust also has this area under conservation, was donated to them. And they've been planting along this area, trying to stabilize the bank as they have been over here along the Zen Center parcel.
Any thoughts?
At this point, it seems like a feasible project to further discuss, and you should continue
Okay.
to develop.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Positive vibes.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. There's the all-important rubber band. Oh, John. Oh, I was gonna give you the rubber band. I want to shoot it at you. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate you bringing that in. Thank you. Okay. Now. Reorganization meeting.
I know I could make it worse.
All right. As I stated before, I am, if anyone wishes to be chairman, there's no hard feelings. I will quickly relinquish that position. No wishes at all.
You're gonna have to do better than that.
to be chairman.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
All right, wasn't that easy? That's fine.
Who's gonna be vice chair?
Oh, there we go. Who hasn't had their turn yet?
I think Mark's had it, right?
Mark's had it many times. Mr. Hillman.
Mark's
I think Mr. Hillman has enough
Chair.
clout now.
I'm certainly becoming senior, aren't I?
Yes, you are. Yes, sir.
Doesn't take long in this.
I guess
these
not.
days.
I nominate Mr. Hillman, vice chair.
All those in favor?
Aye. You accept?
I do, thank you.
All right. What other position do we have?
Clerk.
Clerk.
What the hell does the clerk do?
You're gonna find out.
Brings cookies.
That was a very smooth move, Ron.
I nominate John for clerk.
Oh, God.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You get to read all this stuff and tell us if it's legal? Is
There
that
we
it?
go.
Karma,
Awesome.
guys, karma.
That was easy. All right. Anything else before we adjourn for tonight?
Oh,
Yes.
Are we ever gonna have a conversation on,
Shelburne Green?
yeah,
Oh, you
Yes,
guys
we're
have to
supposed
figure
do
that
At
out.
6 tonight, so I guess our conversation is we should set another time to
well, we need to
deliberate.
make sure we have 4 people.
Right, so we have to,
And that, but as Ravi and I discussed earlier, that could include alternates, so you can ensure
Also
they're.
be discussed after the meeting
There we go.
to do logistics.
All right.
So I would make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Second.
Second.
aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right.